Hi, my name is Richard Height, and we're taking our nature stroll, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about the trap of knowledge on the spiritual path, especially the trap of spiritual knowledge, and how that can lead us in a direction of disharmony, take us in a very circuitous route away from awareness. Before we start, go ahead and click subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're going to be making a lot more videos now that I've got this camera and I can use it while I take my daily walks. I can produce pretty regular videos and answer the questions that you may have. Also, if you can, write a comment, make a comment, tell me the kind of things you're interested in having me discuss, questions that you may have, difficulties that you may have in the awakening process. This channel is dedicated to helping you in your own spiritual awakening process, providing you with some tools and means, and hopefully saving you a little time in your own process, assuming you're ready for that expediting. I know if there were a channel like this when I was going through my process, it might have been helpful. And so, go ahead and click a like or share this with someone that you think might benefit from it. Make a comment, but first, click the subscribe and hit the notification bell. And so, talking about knowledge, one of the most seductive aspects of the spiritual awakening process is the knowledge and quote-unquote wisdom, the profound wisdom that we can receive. There's so much information available now on the internet that we have immediate access to, as well as through books. We have more access to spiritual knowledge now than probably any other people have ever existed. You can, in a flash, get on YouTube and ask your question and in your search window, and probably some guru somewhere's got an answer that it may or may not be correct, but there's plenty of information to make us feel like we know something. And the danger there is that the ego likes to know things. The sense of self likes to feel authority. And the danger is that the knowledge isn't the awakening. What you think life is isn't what life is. What you think of as awakening is not what awakening is. And so we could have so much great wisdom swarming around that's essentially we're just regurgitating things that other people may have said. It's just memories. It's just more imagination, more mental processes, less actual awareness of, as Yoda says to Luke, where you are, what you are doing. It's just less of that very simple thing to be in touch, here, clear, vibrantly aware, in unknowingness. And that's the great irony, is that awakening largely is a giant leap into the grand unknowingness of this moment, of what is. The knowledge that we could describe as spiritual wisdom or knowledge is really just knowledge of how the mind tricks us into not being here now, of not being vibrantly present. But that very same knowledge could then become the trap that keeps us from being present as a little hamster wheel of our mind zips around and around and around, basking in that knowledge and sharing it with people, saving them, teaching them of our wisdom, which is maybe, for a lot of us, certainly it was in my case for a time, in my early process, a regurgitation of something that maybe I heard or read. Now, I really didn't do that much reading or writing, so I didn't have that much reading, or I didn't have any spiritual teachers to go to, so I really didn't have that much spiritual wisdom to regurgitate before I ran dry, but and maybe that was beneficial. But the fundamental practice, the fundamental key to awakening is exactly that, waking up to now, stepping out of, or listen, not just stepping out of, transcending knowledge, no longer being addicted to it. And it doesn't mean that, I just found a nice rosula mushroom, looks like that anyway in the dark. It doesn't mean that knowledge is useless, and nor does it mean it's wrong. I mean, it has its place. The body needs to survive. And for example, with the mushrooms, if I didn't know a mushroom was edible or poisonous or medicinal, if I didn't know these things about the mushroom and I didn't have an ability to communicate, if I ate a mushroom and my knowledge was wrong, I would potentially get sick or die. So knowledge has its place, but knowledge can never replace being. And so it's important to realize that the universe as we experience is essentially a dance. For human beings, it's a dance of being and form, being and knowledge. That's a good way of describing the human, which is the form, the organism, with its encapsulated memory. The whole body is essentially a compilation, an ecosystem of organisms, every cell, bacteria, all of which are made of memory. The genetics are a kind of memory. They all have a pattern. That's all knowledge. There's that. But there's also the being, which transcends the form, which is not actually dependent on the form. Not always. And there's a dance between these two elements when in physical existence. And what the human being is awakening to, you see, when we were prior to the human experience, where we could articulate our knowledge and we could identify with our knowledge, it would have been a more animalistic, more instinctual experience of life. The knowledge would have been more instinctual. But at the same time, we wouldn't suffer from that knowledge. We would not identify ourselves as being that knowledge, and that knowledge somehow made us special. When human beings, when our brains developed to such that we could abstract and identify ourselves with our knowledge, that's when we stepped into a certain type of prison. The ancient Jewish people, the Christians might say that's when we fell from Eden. And that's a very good metaphor. Eden being paradise, Eden being harmony, essentially. That's when we began to live our lives constantly being chased by the demon of the mind, being chased by the mind. Now the mind, we have to be honest, it serves a function, it serves a purpose, just like the knowledge. It's necessary for the human beings. We don't have the teeth and claws and fur, and we can't just exist outside without shelter. And that's not wrong. That is the strategy that we used. Oh, I found a psychedelic mushroom. I won't be using that, but found one. very rare here on this property. No, I won't show it on camera. Anyway, the knowledge is what has allowed the human being to succeed. The ability to abstract, the ability to juggle memories and to mix and match so that we can come up with solutions to problems without the use of tooth and claw and fur to survive. We can build houses and make hunting tools that allow us to take down game that was much bigger than anything that we would otherwise be able to hunt. Well, in that process of that development, in the process of developing our survival skills and strategy and enhancing our capacities in abstract ways, we've gotten trapped in the matrix of our own mind, and the abstractions and the memories and the imagination. And it's like a dream. And it's a dream that people aren't even aware they're in. They think that they're awake. But I would ask you, if you're awake, step out of the dream. Just right now, wherever you are, without any preparation, you just decide, no thought. I'm just going to be. I'm going to be at peace. I'm going to be happy. I'm just going to be with nothing going on in there. Just fully present. Decide that. I mean, you've lived your whole life, 10, 20, 50 years, 70 years. You ever had 10 minutes where it was just peace and silence and connectedness? Very, very few human beings can just be for 10 minutes. And that's a very, relative to your life, that's such a short period of time. In fact, I would suggest that very few people can just say silence for a minute and be clear, crystal clear, vibrantly aware for a minute. The fact that this is so difficult that it would even be a challenge at all shows us how truly trapped we are by the mind, and that we don't actually control our mind. We don't control our thoughts. And if we don't control our thoughts and we don't control our mind, the truth is, even though we believe we have controlled our life, we aren't in control. We don't even know what we are. We don't know what thoughts are. We don't know whence they come. And we certainly don't control them. Awakening is awakening from that dream. And more will presence fill your life, a vibrant awareness, an interconnectedness with the sense of interconnectedness with your environment. And that's not knowledge. It simply is not knowledge. In fact, it's possible to be so vibrantly aware, so beautifully integrated, so crystal clear, that not only are there no thoughts, even if you want to, you cannot create a thought. You cannot find a thought. It takes a Herculean effort to disturb the mind such that a thought could manifest in that clarity. I'm not saying that's how we ought to live our lives. I'm saying knowledge is not that. And all of your spiritual knowledge may actually be the prison you're currently trapped by. And that doesn't mean to avoid spiritual knowledge, but just realize that spiritual knowledge is not actually spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge, in truth, is just knowledge of what it is, that the games that the mind plays and the causes for why the mind creates the projection it creates, so that we can be aware when the mind is creating those projections, impulsively, compulsively, addictively, and so that we can then settle, rest ever more into being, rest ever more into awareness, and gradually through that resting, awaken to what is, awaken to the vastness of being, and as a result, it would create less harmony within one's own body, project less disharmony into the world. You may find that your relations change, your job changes, everything in your life starts to shift, or not. I mean, the externals could stay the same. It's rarely the case. But certainly the internals are different. My experience is that the externals drastically change too, as the people who have been around you, they know you as the energy field that you've always been, and which is full of disharmony, full of thoughts, opinions, beliefs, speculations that you believe to be infallible. Projections. And they know you as that. They know you for the vices that you may have, that they may share in. They know you maybe for the ways that they can take advantage of you, or the ways that they can confide in you and feel better about themselves without actually being honest. There's a number of things that happen like that. A lot of our relationships are made up in codependent ways, and those will start to fall away as you become more present, more being, more able to express authentically, more fully, more completely, and also more able to be in silence more fully and completely without the compulsion to speak all the time, without the compulsion to fill the gaps in conversation. And people that can't stand the clarity, are uncomfortable with the being, with the honesty, they'll start to move away, and people that are eager for that will gravitate towards us. And as a result, our job opportunities change, our career opportunities change, our relationships change. The entire context of our life starts to change. Where we live may change. The things that we study may change. We may cease certain activities and begin new ones. We might start to live closer to nature, or bring nature closer to us. Truly, the entirety of your physical expression in the world starts to morph in ways that are oftentimes unexpected, and sometimes totally expected. Inspiration may come through and give you sorts of premonitions of things to come. This has happened with me, and it's happened with others. That's not wrong, and it could turn out that way. But the key point always is that step by step, returning to being, returning to awareness. Stepping out of the belief in knowledge. Stepping out of the measurement of our value based on our knowledge. The compulsion to look like an awakened being and all of that sort of hooey. Allow yourself to be. And with that, go ahead and click the link below in the description. You'll find a free 10-day trial to the type of meditation that I practice that integrates in your life and will, like an infection, will start to bring presence, bring being, the awareness of being, the revelation of being into your life more and more through your daily activities. Hope to see you there. Oh, and before I sign off, go ahead and make a comment. Let me know what you think of this video. If you have any questions, any topics you'd like me to cover, put them in the comments and I'll respond to everybody's comments. I'd love to hear any thoughts you might have, any questions that you might have, and share this with someone that you care about, that this might help. Have a great day.